Okay, so today I am here at Ipoh. I just drove up all the way from KL in this. This is the newly launched, should I call it a facelift? Well, it's still based on the previous Gen E3 Porsche Cayenne, but it is so substantially updated that it is practically as good as an almost new car. Now, right off the bat, this new Cayenne, what you see here, this is the base model with the 3-litre V6 engine offering about 350 horsepower, priced at 600,000 ringgit. Because remember, this car is locally assembled in Malaysia. You can get the higher level options like the Cayenne S-La, GT S-La and whatnot, but those are fully imported and will cost you substantially more. So now, let's look at the updates on this car. So firstly, the engine here has gotten a bit more power, and visually, well, Porsche has given this one a real massive makeover. Most notably is that the headlights here have been made narrower in terms of the height. So it's sort of, this look, right, sort of brings the Cayenne in line with the new generation of EVs, like, you know, the Taycan. It sort of reminds me of the styling direction that they are moving with the Taycan, and the idea is that they want to emphasize more the width of the car. To me, I'm still trying to get used to it. I much prefer the outgoing E3's design with the taller headlamps, but I suppose it's something that we would get used to along the way. Now, the thing about the Cayenne, I noticed that as I spent a whole day with this car looking at it, one of the things that caught my attention is that this car, it doesn't look big. It doesn't look humongous. And when I drive it around, when I've been driving it around, it also hardly feels intimidating to drive. But here's an interesting observation. Look at these wheels. Now, in appearance, they seem conservatively sized, and one look at it, I thought 18s. But it turns out they are 20-inch wheels. And amazing how the sheet metal of this car is styled that such that 20 inches look like such a conservative design. Now, if you have a bit of money, you can top up 40,000 ringgit, upgrade yourself to 21 or 22-inch wheels. But I will say that these 20-inch wheels with the 55 series tires, they make the ride deliciously supple. It is, this car, in terms of ride comfort, cannot be beat. It is such a smooth riding car. Now, you look at it from this angle, the silhouette of the Cayenne really is very familiar. It needs no introduction. All right, one look at this from the side, you know that this car descended from the 955, 956, 957 and eventually brought us to this. Okay, that familiar profile is still there, and these roof rails at the top, they are optional in certain overseas market, but Porsche Malaysia has decided to make them standard offering here in our market. Now, the doors, as you would expect from this segment, all keyless entry is one thing lah. And check this out. Okay, you've got soft close. Okay. Now you come to the back. So at the back, Porsche has similarly made quite substantial changes. The single bar tail light design, they have now run it like one harmonious bar across that spans the width of the car with the Porsche wording here in some three-dimensional effects. They've also brought down the number plate holder to a much lower position. Once again, it reinforces what I said earlier, right? Visually, the Cayenne, as a result, it does not look like an imposing car. It does not look like a humongous car. In fact, the road presence of the Cayenne, visually to me, it looks more like a bit of a Macan Plus rather than an outright gargantuan SUV. Though it is pertinent to note that the first generation Cayenne was one of the models that was responsible for pioneering the creation of the ultra luxury SUV. So now we are here, of course, in the third and a half generation, right? Now, let's look inside. So pardon, the car is a bit dirty, and what you see here, this is luggage space of 3 fully grown adults. Okay, and I can't remove all this, but I can show you, well, there's a retractable tonneau cover. Okay, and here you can see there are these buttons here which you can use to raise and lower the suspension. This car does, after all, have air suspension, so you can raise and lower the suspension for you to load and unload things more conveniently. Right, so let's check out the inside. Okay, now please pardon the mess a little. Once again, 3 men have spent all day in this car, but I do want to show you this specific example because of these beautiful red leather seats. My God, the two-tone red leather, absolutely stunning. So for interior color, you have 2 choices. You can have either all black or the red and black two-tone. So my suggestion to you is go for the red and black two-tone. You won't regret it. Now the door cards, you can see here, you've got a Bose speaker here. This door card here has been very useful for my drive partners, telescopic lens, as well as a Coke can. So we always complain a lot of cars, right? They don't have lock and unlock button all on the driver door, right? Check this out. The Cayenne has lock and unlock button on all 4 doors. Inside here is a powered sunshade, which you raise and lower using the power window buttons. How you activate it is you pull this up one time with the windows closed and the sunshade comes up. So let me get inside. Now this here is a slot for you to put the optional screen. Okay, it's an available accessory. Now I'm 170 centimeters tall, so in terms of room here, I've got pretty alright enough room for me to cross my legs. Aircon blower on the B pillar and from the center console as well, with rear zone climate control. Got 2 feet of headroom above me, so really plenty of space for me to sit in here. So I've got armrests here with, I think these came from a Passat. Alright, so good angle, but let me just explore some of the functions here. So what I can see here, okay, surprised me, no power. Somehow I was expecting these to power drop, but it's a mechanical release, and so it's sloped. But from the luggage space, you can see here the way it meets the floor. Okay, so there's a bit of a gap here, but if you have a bulky item, you can just let it sit properly on here without worrying about them rocking about. Okay, so right now at this moment in time, this seat is snapped in place. You pull this up, release, and there you go. All right, so this actually has, you can also drop the middle section separately. You can join, this is like how the Europeans like it, like a ski tunnel. Okay, now let's check out the cabin. Hey, can you come in from the passenger side? All right. So here in the cabin, at the driver area, Porsche has also made substantial updates. Biggest change, of course, is the instrument cluster. The old school analog dials are all gone. They've replaced it with one screen here. Okay, there's another screen here. This area here also looks like it is meant to take the screen, but well, Porsche Malaysia didn't take it up. And inside here, glove box. So right here, you've got 2 USB-C ports, a wireless charger. Okay, there's another slot here. You can drop your items. 2 cup holders. So in terms of storage space, you've got here and all that, but all very partitioned. The center console box here is a bit shallow, but it feels quite cold in here. It's as if there's yeah, because down here is where the aircon cold air is flowing. So here's the climate control panel. Okay, you flick this here to adjust the temperature, fan speed, and all this is is all the functions. All right, sync, climate menu, aircon recirculating, rear demister. But what caught my attention is this. Okay, you've got heated seats, but it does not have ventilated seats. There's obviously like a dead switch here for the ventilated seats, but it's not active. So this really is a very, very funny spec, because usually I expect the heated and ventilated seats to come as a package. You either have both or you have neither. But this is the first time ever I'm seeing you've got heated seats, but you've got no ventilated seats. And the funny thing is, here in Malaysia, it's the ventilated seats that usually come in handy more often. So let me just show you also. So this car here has the Sport Chrono package, and here this is the screen. Oh, I got video. What video can we play? Screen hits TV. Never mind. I shall. So let's access the car functions. So here you can access the drive mode. Okay, you can access the suspension control. You can adjust the suspension leveling to 5 levels, and you can decide whether to activate or deactivate the engine start stop. There is no button for the engine start stop deactivation. You have to do it via the screen. All right, and assist mode, you have adaptive cruise control. Other functions here, you can see the list. You've got front collision warning and brake assist, lane keep assist, lane departure warning, distance warning, drowsiness detection as well. So here's the trip computer, comfort, ambient light, comfort entry, adjust views. Okay, all right. So another interesting change here is that this also is inspired from the Taycan, the gear lever. Porsche decided to free up this space and just put this switch here at the dashboard. Honestly, I'm not that big a fan of all these small gear switches. I always believe that gear switch should be a substantial control, but well, then again, I'm old-fashioned, I guess. So overall, my quick impressions driving this after a whole day is that ergonomically, this cabin fantastic, quality excellent. I like that all the controls are well organized. It feels like an easy and intuitive cabin to hop into, operate, and get familiar with very, very quickly. Okay, now the Cayenne is not our typical first choice off-roading vehicle, but as we know, right, even from the first generation, Porsche has built the Cayenne with some degree of off-road capability. So right now we are being demonstrated how the Cayenne behaves off-road, and of course we are getting to view some of the tools that we can use to make the off-roading journey easier. Now, you're not going to take this to Borneo Safari, those kind of things, but some of you who own a Cayenne presumably may have a farm, may have an estate that you need to occasionally go into, or you need to go to your Klang seafood restaurant. Well, that's the kind of off-roading that a Cayenne can expect. And for your troubles, you have a 360-degree camera system. Here's the front, here's the surround view, and the stitching is good. So you can see even right here as I look up close, the definition of the image is fantastic. You can actually see each individual pebble at the side. And then under level, you can select off-road 2, so that it raises the car even a bit more. And yeah, so there are a lot. Through the screen, you can also adjust. You can set the suspension's behavior to cope with the terrain. So here is the drive mode selection, here's the terrain management, and here you can even adjust the suspension leveling to raise or lower the vehicle. And here on this display, it even shows you the angle of the car, side to side, front, back, and axle articulation. So this is, we know that the Cayenne is a luxury SUV meant mostly for on-road use, and of course it's still no Range Rover or Land Rover in terms of its off-road capability, but there is some off-road capability built into this car. So our local CKD Cayenne, as before, continues to be powered by the 3-liter V6 engine that is now mildly updated to produce just over 350 horsepower. So not the fastest model in the range, but for most occasions, fast enough. Now, where this engine shines really is on the highways, where the generous range of mid-range torque from 2000 to 3000 RPMs allow you to cruise at, what's the term I should use for it? Extra legal speeds in a very relaxed manner with barely any RPMs ticking. But on the flip side, where it struggles is on the B roads, in the trunk roads, where you need that immediate and sudden burst of acceleration to exploit that gap to overtake the car in front, and you go pedal to the metal, gearbox kicks down a couple of ratios, and when it pulls its way past 4,000, 5,000 RPM, that's when you feel, yeah, the engine kind of strains a bit at the upper rev ranges. But for the most part, as I experienced this car on highway, B roads, and in city traffic in Ipoh, there is, I would say, not just about actually, more than good enough performance, and it's the kind of engine and drivetrain combo that works together to allow you to cover distances in brutally effective fashion. Now, what about the ride and handling? Now, as I mentioned earlier, because this car sits on very conservative 55 series tires, the ride is sublime. Okay, but that also being said, this car does get air suspension. If you turn the drive mode selection to Sport or Sport Plus, it feels as if as the wheels suddenly gain 2 inches in diameter, it just stiffens up. But driving in normal mode, this is as comfortable a car as you need. The plushness, the suppleness of this ride, you couple that back with the effortlessness that comes from the engine, this Cayenne is just such a fantastic long distance cruiser if you're looking to just effortlessly cover the miles. Now, of course, what about dynamism? Well, don't mistake this for a 911 or a Boxster or a Cayman. It isn't. This is an SUV. This thing is tall, right? It weighs, what, at least 2 tons once you factor in all the fluids lah, your luggage lah, the char kway teow that you just ate. This car it weighs easily 2 tons, and in that context, right, when you're cruising on the highway, what you get, stability at speed. When you take, let's say, the fast sweeping bends, it's assured, it's planted. But of course, when you want to blast your way corner to corner in trunk roads, well, just be a little bit mindful in managing the weight. So overall, dynamically, the Cayenne here, it's competent, it's capable. Right? It's not the fastest in the range, but it's fast enough. Where is the drawback? There's the thing. There is no major drawback other than the fact that I struggle to find anything to be excited about this car. What I can tell you really is that, you know, having driven this from KL to Ipoh and pushing here, pushing there a few rounds, it's a good car, right? It's just a fantastically well-engineered machine covering long distances in supreme comfort, and yeah, but it does not have that wow factor in terms of the drive, right? And I know it is a weird thing to say this about a Porsche, but it's just missing a bit of pizzazz. It's missing a bit of a spiciness in the experience. Maybe that's how Porsche does it with the base model to inspire you to, hey, bro, let's look at why don't you look at the Cayenne S? I also understand that where Malaysia is concerned, because Malaysia is the only market that locally assembles the Cayenne, this Cayenne plays a very unique role in that it brings in a lot of new customers into the Porsche brand. So perhaps that play it safe sense in this car is deliberate. It is meant, this car is meant to appeal to as wide an audience as possible, bring them into the brand so that one day they can be introduced to the excitements that is the Boxsters, the Caymans, and the 911s. Okay, but until then, well, here we have it. This is the newly updated Porsche Cayenne, all-round very capable car. This is a fantastic luxury SUV to buy if you need something that, well, quickly, efficiently, effectively covers the miles for your long distance trips. Okay, and I'm now here at my destination. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.